If we keep coffee prices at the level where they are globally, that's a disaster. That's not why I'm getting up every morning. We really are here to make a change and make a difference. My name is Ralf Rüller. I'm the founder of the Barn Coffee Roasters in Berlin. My job is, I don't have one job, I have like a lot of jobs actually. But mainly I'm involved in sourcing green beans, roasting, quality control, and I'm very close to the product, and in that sense I'm also very close to the baristas and the head barista and the quality on my bar. I moved to Berlin in 2008, which was also exactly the time when London or the world was in a big crisis, in a financial crisis. So a lot of people around me were losing their jobs, and it also felt like a time of new starts and change and really rethinking what you're doing, and I felt it's time to move away from London. So I went to the countryside outside of Berlin, and I was kind of browsing where's my passion and what's important to me, and then it always came back to three items, which was coffee, the cakes of my mother, and good bread, because in London I was always looking for good bread. Also, I felt like in Berlin there was not a coffee place where the coffee was valued just as much as the things that you eat. And so I felt there's also a need, first of all, for specialty coffee at a very high level, but at the same time everything that we wanted to produce should be like homemade and from scratch. And that's how the Barn was born. The moment I started opening, I got obsessed with coffee. It was really like I've been waiting for something for quite a while in my life. It just felt like a door opened and I walked through it, and I was really obsessed. And a year into like building the business, I felt, bringing the beans over from the UK and also like having no good roast quality locally, I felt there's really first a need for myself, but also for the market to have a quality roaster in Berlin. Yeah, we're at the Barn Roastery, and this is our beautiful roast machine. It's a UG25 Probat, really, really nice. It's custom made. Big drum, big burners, everything big, but still small. And this is Jasper, he's head roaster. Joined us half a year ago. Doing really, really well. Very, very proud of his work and making all the coffees shine. The roasting you learn by roasting. You can do roast classes. I've never done a roast class. But then there are different people that are learning in a different way. I'm very self-educated. I never studied, I never went to university. It's like I always learned by doing things or by learning from other people. The roasters I worked with, they came over to Berlin and helped me setting up and like speeding up and so on. But then you need to do the job kind of like by yourself and taste, and find your way, find your style. And looking back, I would say like it takes a few years to really know what you're doing. I think the roast philosophy is very close to the sourcing philosophy. I think they are connected. First of all, the roast should always follow the characteristics and like taste properties that are already inside the bean. So it's almost like an opera singer. It just takes the notes from the composer. It's all there. You just need to sing it in the right way. And so in roasting, it's all in the bean, and you need to take that and then do it justice. We only work with farmers that are changing towards specialty and higher quality. So the output of the grade ones is increasing every year. Sometimes it's only 20 or 30%. We have an exclusive relationship in Ethiopia, Mohammed Ali, and last year we bought all his grade ones, and it was only 20% of his production. And now he's picking differently, he's sorting and drying differently. This year it will be 60%. So like the money that's coming in and the value that he's producing is constantly going up. And that's, I think, where we also need at the cafe end and at the marketing and sales end, need to keep a high price so we can pay a high price to the farmers. If we start competing at the sales end in B2B or in retail and push prices down and so on, which is what we see happening in some markets that are more developed, the farmer will suffer in the end. Sample roasting is super important to the company. That's how we buy. If we mess up the sample roast, we may overlook a really interesting coffee. And that was always a challenge for us. Usually the sample roasting is not getting as much attention as the main roasting, your main production. And so I felt in the past we had cupping tables to buy that were not always on point. You get very little material, 100 grams, and then you have one roast, and that needs to be on point, and that's really, really hard. So with IKAWA, number one, we can use less, and we have set profiles, so it gives us a lot of stability to evaluate our coffees. I'm immensely proud of what the barn is and what the barn was in the beginning and still is. I don't think you can do that without being passionate or feeling passionate for coffee and for the people that are dealing with it. Like the whole community element. I'm in WhatsApp groups with farmers. That's a community for me. And then the roasting, and then of course with the customers. My favorite spot is still to clean dishes on a Saturday at the Roastery and to talk to the customers and see how they like the coffee. It's really interesting when I sit on the bench sometimes and they are next to me. They're discussing coffee quite a lot. What do you taste? Oh, I had this experience there, and why don't you try this? I really like Colombia. It's constantly discussing the product, and so if I focus on the product, I can make them happy.